Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of News in the English language on Canal International. We'll begin with our top stories.
Three persons under the Bamenda's police lens for the fabrication of fake certificate of nationality, aged 20, 39 and 58. The trio in fake certificate racket is expected to be presented before the competent judicial authorities for a continuation of the judicial chain. In Pitwa, north of Cameroon, startling discovery of a stockpile of weapons in a farmland. Investigation uncovered 3 other hideouts of light arms apparently hidden by the men of the underworld. The 6:50 news is right ahead with Uncle Lady D. Morin T.
Canal International. Canal International.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Polycarp Ababa and Amadou Valmuki have been sentenced to 17 and 12 years imprisonment, respectively, after countless adjournments. The judgments were finally rendered by the Special Criminal Court this morning and has been rubbished by the defense lawyers who see the judges acted on instructions and not on the rule of law. The details with Hysen Cha.
It was at about 12 a.m. this Wednesday morning when the final verdict of the Special Criminal Court in Yaoundé fell on the former Minister of Economy and Finance, Polycarp Ababa, and former General Manager of the Cameroon Radio Television, Amadou Valmuki. Arrested in 2008 for the embezzlement of state funds, Polycarp Ababa receives a new sentence of 17 years imprisonment, and Valmuki, who was equally nabbed by the Operation Sparrowhawk in July 2016, is placed on a 12 years jail term over their core actions of mismanaging over 570 million CFA francs, a decision described by the defense lawyers as a calculated judgment. We have the impression that the magistrates are acting on order from above, because when you look at the decision on our clients charge of embezzlement of funds, which have clearly been proven that the money was used by the Office of Taxation under the instructions of the then Director General, but today they are still declaring Valmuki and Ababa guilty of the same funds. It is funny. That doesn't make sense. It is all except justice. A long court hearing session that lasted for over 13 hours, but still ended up badly for the accused. After 6 years of proceedings, and your client is condemned for 12 years imprisonment, it is hard to take, after all our efforts to provide the courts with all necessary documents, the judges still went ahead to condemn him. It should be recalled that Ababa Polycarp was Cameroon Minister of Economy and Finance from 2004 to 2008, and Amadou Valmuki at the helm of the State Broadcasting House from 2005 to 2016.
And we take you to Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon, where a network of fabricators of fake certificates and other documentations has been laid bare this Wednesday. This follows an early morning search conducted yesterday in the Damugong Street of a 58-year-old man said to be the leader. Investigations were triggered when one of such certificates were detected in court in a bid to produce a certificate of nationality. More on the story with our reporter, Saleh Sharifa.
The Bamenda Regional Division of the Judicial Police is currently holding 3 persons in connection with the fabrication of fake documents. According to the police commissioner, it all started when a fake certificate of nationality was detected in court in the course of establishing a certificate of nationality.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the population of the neighborhood that collaborated with us.
After exploitation, the first suspect gave valuable information that led to the arrest of 2 others, including the main brain in the fabrication, following an early morning raid on his house at the Ndamunkong Street neighborhood on Tuesday, December 20. Around the entrance to the Judicial Police Office is a cluster of documentation booths which could fall prey to such fake papers.
Those doing documentation around so that they should come. I mean, it is good that they are here to witness it so that they will be on guard. They will warn themselves sufficiently.
The hundreds of certificates, stamps, booklets, stamp pads, and others carry names and signatures of civil administrators, mayors, magistrates, principal of colleges, police commissioners, among others, aged 20, 39, and 58 years. The trio is expected to be presented before the competent judicial authorities for a continuation of the justice chain.
Defense and security officers are carrying out investigations to track down some criminals who hid some light weapons in a farm in that locality. The light weapons were discovered recently and were presented to the press yesterday. More on the story with our reporter Gladys Ambo Diba.
The discovery of these light weapons was made by a farmer in Pitoa in the Benue Division, North Region of Cameroon. They were found in a farm in the locality, but the owners are still unknown. There are clear proofs that the criminals are not far away. From here, defense forces will take actions. We will search and continue with investigations so that the men of the underworld who are bent on disturbing the quietness, security, and the welfare of the population will be arrested. It is not the first time. Within 3 months, we have already uncovered 3 hideouts and seized weapons. A salutary discovery during the end-of-year festivities, usually characterized by cases of armed robbery. Pitoa, for example, has always been a target of hoodlums. The local authorities have to that effect urged the population to be assiduous and collaborate with defense and security forces in order to fight against the phenomenon in the area. We need frank collaboration from the population. They need to put aside fear and report suspects in their environments. Nothing will come their way. God will protect them. And maybe if they stop paying ransoms, it will dissuade the armed robbers. Gendarme officers who are keeping the weapons emphasize they would track down the owners.
And a young man has been crushed to dirt by a train in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, this Wednesday morning. The young man left for work yesterday and was only found dirt this morning. What must have pushed a 28-year-old to end it all on the railway line. More on the story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamo.
The family of 28-year-old Antoine still in shock and disbelief as he is no more crushed by train along the Nguso railway lines in Yaoundé around 7 a.m. this Wednesday. Those close by started shouting, and while passing, I saw the train has crushed the man. The witness adds the train divided his body into 2. This is because one part was on the rail, the other half out. Alerted hours later, the family rushed to the scene of the accident, seeing body in 2 halves. Antoine's elder brother explains here that he left for work yesterday as usual, but at a certain point his phone was not going through and nowhere to be found. But at around 11 p.m. to midnight, the brother adds, Antoine called the younger sister, saying that he does not know what to do. His life is falling apart. Minutes later, his phone was not going through, and the elder brother adds he thought he might have been arrested. That is all. The father of 2, known to be very calm, left astray till the disheartening news this day. Was he in all his senses when the train was coming? Is it a kind of score settling? Was he attacked and dumped for the train to complete the mission? The many questions family members, like onlookers, keep asking. The incident increased traffic along the Nguso rail crossing in the morning. At the time of our report, the remains of Antoine was being transported to the mortuary.
Education, being the first aspect of nation building, has become an area of rampant violence, either promoted by future students and the entire education authorities fight against the persistent violence within the school milieu. The main objective of the first international symposium in the nation's capital between Cameroon and the United System. More on the story with our reporter Usmo Kusumi.
Students, they say, should not be sent away from schools when some violence acts are committed. Even perpetrators of sex tape, verbal violence among many, they insist can only be eradicated through education. One of the resolutions of this first edition of the International Symposium on Violence in Schools Milieu.
The men are victims and actors, girls are victims and actors. So with the help of the local authorities, we prepared a special place for these students to continue their education.
Very important to educational authorities, one of the main causes of this brutality they see is the new technology.
A child can be in Boya and New York is in the classroom because of a smartphone. The environment is so difficult for the students nowadays that they don't know their left and right.
Students at the center of this 2 days conference will be the messengers to their peers.
I'll be able to tell them they should avoid taking harmful gadgets to school. They should avoid substance abuse, the wrong uses of phone.
Given the importance of the issue on the table, the United Nations system has agreed to collaborate with the Ministry of Secondary Education to seek efficient strategies to combat the disturbing phenomenon within the school milieu.
As part of measures to improve the working environment and reception of users in the north region of Cameroon, the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms has just inaugurated a new building of the Regional Delegation of Public Service and Administrative Reforms. During the ceremony, the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Ale, reminded staff of the decentralized service of the need for them to fight against bad practices. More the story with our reporter Gladys Ambodiba.
A brand new architectural gem, spacious enough to accommodate public service users and provide staff with pleasant working conditions. It is the new building of the North Regional Delegation of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, inaugurated this December 20, 2022. Another proof of government's commitment to improve the working environment in decentralized services.
Until now, the environment of work for our collaborators was not the best. Now they have a new building, they have spaces where they can work without any problem. That's why I would like to tell them that now they have everything. They have all facilities. So we are waiting for them.
Public service users in the North region will no longer have the need to travel to Yaoundé to follow up their documents, as the North Regional Delegation of Public Service intends to materialize the desire to digitalize its services.
We no more need people in Yaoundé saying that I came here to follow a paper, to follow a document, because they can now have everything here. We have internet, we have many other services online that they can have here in Garoua.
On the sidelines of the inauguration of this building, Public Service Minister held meetings with staff of decentralized services. He reminded them on the urgent need to fight bad practices recorded in public services.
And Brazil is planning to reinforce cooperation ties between the African Synergy for the fight against HIV and AIDS and sufferings and the Brazilian Institute for HIV and AIDS fight, the substance of a courtesy call. Brazilian ambassador to Cameroon to the headquarters of the structure in Yaoundé. More in the following story.
The call of the Brazilian ambassador to Cameroon, Patricia Maria Oliveira Lima, Tuesday at the Milan headquarters of the African Synergy Against AIDS and Suffering, courtesy.
To honor the work that has been done so far and to find out in the future means of strengthening the cooperation between Brazil and Cameroon also in fight against HIV.
This for first-hand knowledge of activities of the Pan-African NGO and also to salute efforts this far by Cameroon's First Lady Chantal Biya, founding president of this African First Ladies Initiative.
Looks very well organized. The fight so far has been very well tackled. The more countries and the more societies are taken into account in this initiative, the better the fight will be.
Executive Secretary Jean-Stéphane Biacha explains the history of the 20-years-old structure, how it led to the creation of the Chantal Biya International Research Center on HIV/AIDS, CIRCB, today. All this digested from not only the many documentaries and reports displayed, but also visits of the structure. Her praise registered in the visitor's book before leaving the structure.
And we are barely counting days to Christmas, and a part of dresses, shoes, food. Parents are also interested in buying gifts for their children in the form of toys. What type of toys should parents get for their kids during this time of the year? What our reporter Udmo Kusumi has in the following story.
Here they are all over the market, toys of different categories, sizes, form, species and colors, ready for anyone whose purchasing power meets the prices. Some parents buy toys that can be a form of education tool for their children. It teaches children, and for example, others like guitar to play because they would like to be musicians. Others, on the other hand, goes for any that pleases the kids. Cars with remote. It is his choice. These sociologists feel it is very important to offer educational gifts to young children, especially when we look back to the context today.
We must know as parents that toys are certainly the way to give children possibility to play, to be engaged in joke, but they are also a very sensitive domain because children are learning some values with using those toys. And today it is important to break down the idea of choosing violent toys and get in the mind that we can prepare our children to be a global citizen.
These periods of nativity, the birth of Jesus Christ, moments cherished by children and pleasing them with toys is like the gifts Jesus Christ received from the 3 wise men. But this tradition of gift is not an obligation. Those who can afford such do so.
And that was it for this edition of Newscasts in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. Take another round of the same time tomorrow. Good night.